You're listening to the VA Claims Authority. I'm Gary, Air Force veteran, VA disability claims strategist, and the guy who got denied, fought back, and won. I'm here to make sure the VA doesn't leave you behind. Whether you're filing your first claim or fighting your fifth appeal, this is your briefing. Let's get into it. Hook. Here's a bold stat. The VA denies more TDIU claims for lack of vocational evidence than for lack of medical evidence. Myth busted. You do not need a lawyer to get TDIU if you submit the right records. I helped a client win without counsel by combining 3 employer letters, 2 years of pay records, and a focused nexus exam. And the board granted entitlement within 6 months. Promise. In the next 10 minutes, I'll show you exactly what the VA wants to see, the precise forms, VA Form 21-8940 and VA Form 214142, the language to ask an employer to use, how to map your functional limits to job tasks, and one action you can finish before you hang up. Download VA Form 21-8940 and fill Section 2 for your last 3 employers. Quick TDIU primer. TDIU, or total disability based on individual unemployability, pays at the 100% rate when your service-connected conditions prevent you from securing or following substantially gainful employment. There are 2 paths the VA considers: scheduler TDIU, which follows rating thresholds for combined evaluations, and extra scheduler, which is used when your situation is outside the normal rules. But here's the practical truth. The VA needs 2 things to say yes: medical evidence that shows disabling conditions, and vocational evidence showing those conditions actually stop you from working. Common denial reasons: vague employer letters, no timeline tying limitations to job loss, and missing pay or separation records that prove you weren't working full-time. Forms and authorizations. Start here, because the VA will collect what you authorize. VA Form 21-8940 is the veteran's application for TDIU. Fill it out carefully. Section I is you, service dates, and contact info. Section 2 is critical. List your employers for the last 15 years, or your entire work history if you can. Put employer name, address, job title, dates of employment, and reason you left. Be specific. Cashier, full-time, January 2012 to June 2014, left due to repeated absences for medical treatment is far better than retail job 2012 to 2014. Next, VA Form 21-4142 is the authorization for release of medical and employment information. Use it to authorize the VA to get your employer records, and also check the box authorizing release of Social Security Administration records. That lets you bring SSA decisions into the folder. Those are powerful corroboration if the SSA already found you disabled. Employer evidence that matters. The VA doesn't want cheerleading. They want facts tied to work tasks. Give your employer this simple template and ask them to sign it on company letterhead if possible. Use plain specific language. Employee name, job title, dates of employment, primary duties included XYZ, employee's performance declined, beginning date, specific limitations observed, could not stand for more than 20 minutes, frequent absences for medical appointments, estimate 2 days per week, difficulty concentrating on complex tasks, required frequent breaks, and could not meet production standards. Attempts at accommodation included reduced hours and modified duties from date to date. Employment ended on date due to inability to perform essential job functions. That exact phrasing, dates, measurable limits, accommodations attempted, is what moves a claim. If a supervisor won't write a letter, get pay stubs, W-2s, separation notices, performance warnings, or even an HR note showing attendance issues. Multiple small documents add up the same way a single strong letter does. Medical plus vocational nexus. This is where many claims stall. Medical records must describe functional limitations, not just diagnoses. Ask your provider for a DBQ or a short note that links symptoms to work impact. For example, due to chronic PTSD symptoms, the veteran experiences persistent hypervigilance, nightmares, and impaired concentration, resulting in inability to reliably complete tasks requiring sustained attention or to tolerate typical workplace stressors. Translate medical limits into job tasks. Concentration problems mean you can't complete clerical work. Fatigue and pain limit standing or lifting required for construction or retail. Panic attacks mean you can't manage crowded customer-facing shifts. If you have Social Security findings, include the SSA denial or award. SSA looks at work capacity and can be persuasive to the VA. When there's a gap between what your medical records say and what an employer saw, use coworker statements, performance reviews, and treatment notes to tie the two together. If your clinician won't write the Nexus language, give them a draft sentence they can edit. Clinicians will often sign if you provide concise wording. Action step. Do this now. Go to va.gov and download VA Form 218940. Fill Section 2 with your last 3 employers. Names, addresses, job titles, full dates, and reason you left. Save the form and attach it to an email to HR for each employer with the employer letter template from our episode notes at VAClaimsAuthority.com. In that email, say, please complete the attached employer statement and return on company letterhead. If you cannot, please send any pay stubs, separation paperwork, or attendance records for my employment. That single outreach starts record collection and gives you something to show the VA today. Recap and common pitfalls. Quick checklist to avoid the denial. 1. Timelines. Every employer letter should include specific dates and estimated frequency of absences. 2. Vague language. Avoid had trouble or was unreliable without examples. Use absent twice weekly for 6 months or could not lift 50 pounds as required by the job. 3. Weak nexus. Medical records must state functional limits and connect to work tasks. If your neurology note says pain, but doesn't say how that pain affects standing, walking, or lifting, get a clinician to add that detail. 4. Missing paper trail. If an employer refuses, produce pay stubs, W-2s, separation notices, and SSA documents. 5. Gather the SSI decision if you filed. It fills gaps the VA often flags. Fixes are usually about adding specificity, not starting over. Close. That's your playbook. Forms, employer language, mapping limits to tasks, and one action you can finish today. For downloadables, employer letter template, a completed example of VA Form 21-8940, and a clinician nexus sample, visit VAClaimsAuthority.com. If this episode helped you, share it with a veteran who needs to hear it, and leave a review so more vets can find practical guidance. That's your briefing. Now go execute. If you need help with your claim, whether it's an audit, a rebuttal, or a full strategy session, head to VAClaimsAuthority.com. I've got the tools and the experience to help you win. I'll see you next episode. And remember, your service earned this. Don't let paperwork take it from you. The VA won't tell you this. I will